over the past 2 years precisely, government's policy in terms of government reform and in terms of re-engineering Nigeria to a prosperous nation. And it's eminent from the fact that even our debt portfolio, we've been able to make sure that we're credit worthy in terms of making sure that some of those burdens are unbundled for development of the nation. I guess that when something is good, people tend to be attracted to it. And the indices is such that a lot more is still coming. And Nigerians should be patient with the APC government. We're working around the clock to make sure that succor is brought to each and every one of us, and Nigerians begin to feel the dividends of democracy. And I think it's a good thing. It's a good indices of good governance. As the representative of the people, we're the voice of the people, and I'm sure that in their conversations with their constituents, they felt the need to be at the center of governance, and where their voice will be heard, and where implementation of policies can be well enhanced. And I guess that naturally, as human beings, you want to be left out where adequate governance is, where people are resolving issues pertinent to their constituents. And as lawmakers, we're the grassroots, we get feedbacks, and I'm sure they are leaned on those feedbacks to be able to say, look, the right path to go, the right place to be at this present point in time is the APC, the ruling party. So based on that, well, to your question that is it dangerous for democracy? When there's progress in the sense that the economy is beginning to thrive, things are beginning to work, we're paying up our debts, we're credit worthy and all that. It's a good sign of democracy, it's a good sign of development, it's no threat to democracy. It's an all-inclusive thing. If we all agree on a position that will better our lots, why not? Why would there be a dissenting voice? So it's about the development, it's about the passion for Nigeria. So I think for me, I think it's a welcome development, and we're still hoping for more of them. I'm sure the narrative is usually that the legislative and the executive is two parallel lines that they say. But I must tell you that in this 10th assembly, the relationship between the executive and the legislative is very cordial. And you see, and that's why you've seen the level of developments that have gone through this past 2 years, and the synergy of a seamless process. Look, we need to, where Nigeria is almost, for me, Nigeria is like a construction site, and we need to place it on almost an emergency, making sure that everything works round the clock. If some countries are doing 24 hours and we're still doing 8-9 hours, there's a lot of catch-ups to be done. So seamlessly, the legislative arm and the executive must work in consonance with the speed of light to make sure that things begin to work assiduously for this country. So you see the passion in which this is done between the legislator and the executive, and I believe that there's still more of that relationship. I know that people will say, well, why should it be like that? Because of the pertinent situations we find ourselves now. We cannot afford to be on different perception. So for me, I think it's welcome. We will give our best. We would always be there for the executive 24/7. So Nigeria is ours. We don't have anywhere to go. We're proudly Nigerian. So we'll sworn to an allegiance to save this country and to make sure that this country is great.
Any securities?
On security, the security architecture of this country is our responsibility. First of all, at the local level, what level of intelligence gathering have we been able to do within ourselves? Because you find out that if you look at the trend, it's an internal thing. And for us, as a nation, we should be our brother's keeper, not us trying to do otherwise. So until we begin to love each other and see, look, why must I even hurt the second person? But that pretext. But for me, maybe we need to go back to the time when maybe mothers would have their babies suck their breast for 2 years. Then maybe we'll begin to understand what it means to love each other and not kill each other. Because if we don't go back to that premise of saying that maybe we should recommend, maybe there should be a law baby friendly for 2 years so that we can begin to appreciate what is love. Because if we take that out, the rest is history. So whatever it is, I believe is local. Most of the killing are local, and it's for certain uninduced benefits. And if you go deep to it, you find out that for one thing or the other, hypothetical, maybe land, maybe this. I'm just, but for me, let's go back to baby friendly. The ones that are coming up now, maybe we'll do a bill 2 years so that they'll appreciate what it is to love one another. If we imbibe that on us, we'll defend Nigeria.
Sir, do you wish to say anything you want to say? Just anything from your heart.
To your constituents.
To your constituents.
Well,
anything.
Today is Children's Day. I want to say Happy Children's Day for all the children in my constituents in Lagos State, in Nigeria, and in the whole world. The children are the future of this nation. We must teach them, we must love them, we must encourage them. Okay, for me, it's like decentralization, whereby you look at things from your local hub. Maybe the needs for Southwest is different from the need of Northwest. Do you understand? Categorization. So they need to do a more of an assessment of the needs assessment that is well detailed in three perspectives. I always lean on these three perspectives. What's the short-term goal? What's the medium term and what's the long term? The short term is to annex those things and start building it up for that development to happen. Then we'll look at long term. In the long term, we will all be beneficiaries to these regional development hubs. I think for me, challenge makes us who we are. So wherever you find it, your ability to solve that challenge makes you who you are. So for me, I think we're in a process of re-engineering what is called Nigeria. In the House, we have a wonderful speaker who has been so gracious, and he's a listening speaker who attends to all issues that pertains to lawmaking and policies. And so for me, I think that in the next 2 years, would have robust debates, would have positions where we want to make sure that the security architecture of Nigeria improves, and want to see where we have sustainability in the agricultural sector, and see how we can leverage both locally and internationally and putting Nigeria back into the world map of a wealthy nation. Our own perception is, first of all, what is the needs assessment of my constituents in terms of what are those needs that we can use law and policies and bills to categorize. First of all, we have Federal Medical Center, Orile. This is part of the assessment we did during the electioneering period, the need to have a medical center in Orile, and it has gone through consideration now. It's gone through the first, second reading, and committee consideration. So we're hoping that it will be listed for third reading. So that's Federal Medical Center Orile. Then also Federal College of Education, Ijesha, has also gone through consideration. So we're hoping that it goes through third reading and that it will progress accordingly. So we also have um, the the flood insurance bill, which will determine pre-flood and post-flood forecast and make sure that there are compensations for victims as are well due. We have the that's gone through second reading. We have the mining public-private partnership. I mean, it's an economic bill to enhance our solid minerals resource in Nigeria, so that would have self-sufficiency where private sectors can come in and probably inject funds to this solid mineral industry to make sure that we can get development and we can start tapping into our foreign exchange and making sure Nigeria is wealthy again. The recently concluded primaries in the local government went through a process and a guideline, and the process and the guidelines are well spelled out in the primaries of the party itself and LASEC. Now, I'm sure that if you are conversant with the process, you will see that the chairmanship election was conducted in a free and fair manner where votes were casted and vote that was casted were counted. And you see the process, it means that that was the process for which the candidate emerged. And I think that even on the electoral law, that's the process in which you have the emergence of a candidate. You know, so what you've just reiterated, it's, for me, I think it's more of a fifth column in saying otherwise, because the whole world saw the process and it's free and fair. You know, so for me, I think that in a situation where you have a laid down guideline and templates to follow, it makes the selection or the process seamless. You know, so I don't think we have any
Okay,
issue.
so finally on this Lagos State, are you saying Governance Advisory Council are comfortable with the process so far in Lagos State?
The GAC, as the name implies, is advisory. You know, so I mean, when you talk about governance, it's a different arm. You have the government itself, which is the executive arm, and you have the legislative arm, and you know, and you have the local government itself. So they are purely advisory.